So the next thing we're going to do here, let's just delete those and return back to our default screen. I'm going to rotate this back to where we had it, and then what we want to do is to create our exploded axo or our assembly diagram. So what we want to do, the first thing we want to do, I'm just going to hide this, get rid of the table, and we're just going to do our exploded diagram of the chair only. And I'm going to jump full screen perspective view, so double click on that perspective. Now what we need to do is we need to choose a view that is going to become our exploded axonometric or our assembly diagram. So we need to make sure that there's plenty of room around the object for us to pull these parts out. So I'm just going to choose that view there, I think. And now the next thing I'm going to do is save that view. So we need to go up here to View, Set View, Named Views, and we'll save this as Assembly. Okay, so that's our assembly view. So if I go somewhere else, and then I want to go back to my view, just go Set View, Assembly, and then we've got that back again. So the next thing that we need to do is in order to create our exploded axo, is to start moving these objects away from each other. So you might want to do a save as at this point so that you don't lose your original model. So just save this as an assembly model, and then you can start pulling it apart. So basically the idea of an assembly diagram is that it can show you how all the different parts go together, kind of like an IKEA catalogue, so that you can see everything in one image and put labels on them and give them names, etc. This is something we use in industry a lot, particularly when there's complicated construction with lots of different parts and we want to see how the different parts go together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select everything just with my window, select everything that's in that backrest and move that. Now I've just clicked anywhere, and because I've got my orthogonal, I can move it in these set angles. So I'm just going to move this back a set distance. Let's just try 500, might be a bit much, 450, and then I'm just going to start pulling the bits out. So we've got these screws here. I'm going to move them down in the direction that they go in. Now you'll see that they want to lock to those orthogonal views, but what you do if you want to go Z or vertically compared to the construction plane in the Z axis, click somewhere and then hold down control and right click again, and click again, and it'll lock you onto that vertical axis. So let me just show you that again. I want to move these vertically, control click, and now it's locked onto that. So I'll just move them down again. I'm just choosing a distance that looks reasonable. You can come back and adjust this later by just going back. We'll go back to our view, assembly, and just see that we can see everything. So they look a bit far away now, so I'm going to move them back up another 100 mil. So the other way I can do the vertical move is M, and then it asks down here if it wants to be vertical, so click yes, and then click, and then I'll just write 100 in there. Okay, so the next part of this is moving this backrest forward, so just do that. 100. And now these screws here, they come in on an angle, so I'm just going to move it basically in line with that angle by finding, so down in there, and just hitting tab, remember, and that'll lock us on that direction. So now you can see those screws are coming in at the same direction as they're going, and I'll just write 200 on those. And we can go back to our view to just see. Now you can see that all of those things are still overlapping a bit. Ideally we want them all separated out. So I'm just going to move those again a bit further. And that chair front will move as well. As I said, there's a bit of trial and error in getting this right. I might just adjust our view so that we can see everything there. So I've just set view again, named views, and I'll just make a new one. This time I'll call it assembly2. Okay. So we'll keep going, pulling this this chair apart. So I'm going to take this bent ply here and move it forward by 750, and then take these bits out. And there were some screws in there as well. Just move those out. Remember tab to lock onto that direction. So if I go back to our view, assembly2, now we can see that these things are still overlapping slightly, so I might move that chair forward again by another 100 mil. 50. Okay, so now there's all our parts to our diagram. So you can see in space now all of these items are exploded out, and so what we want to do before we make our diagram is just draw some lines connecting the things together so we know what's what. So I'm going to go here to this exploded line layer, and what I'm going to do, because we want these lines to be dotted, is just change the line type. So along here, scroll along in your layers palette. So after the name of the layer, there's the material, and then there's a line type. So I'm going to check where it says continuous, click that, and we'll change that to dashed. Okay, so then we'll start drawing. So basically what we're doing here is we're just drawing lines to show where the different items have been pulled from, so that visually we can align it so we know where these things end up. Now you'll see that there's a dash on this line because we made it a dashed line, and we might want to change the scale of that dash, and I'll show you how to do that. So you can see now that this dash is fairly small. If we zoom out, it's a bit hard to see. So if we go to Tools, Options, and under Document Properties there's a tab called Annotation. Just expand that, click on Line Types. Now there's a scale down here. It defaults to 1. When we did our print before, we found out that the scale we're using is 1 to 5. So if you just hit 5 in there, make sure millimeters is checked, and say OK, you'll see now our dash lines are a lot bigger. They make a bit more sense in the scale of our drawing. So just going to join all these pieces with lines so we know how they all go together. So I can copy that one because it's the same on all sides. This guy we slid forward, so draw a line back to where that sits. Now, as I said before, this is a bit of a trial and error exercise, so you just want to play around with this until you get a composition that looks good with all your elements. I'm going to mirror these ones here because they're the same on both sides. So mirror, now we probably just want these in here. Okay, so return to our view. Now, you can see there that we've got everything exploded out. So what we're going to do now is make 2D from our exploded diagram. So we will select everything. I'm just updating this view now that I've put everything in. I want it to look a bit different, so I'm going to choose there so I can see everything and hit save. Assembly 2, I'm saving over that one. So now that's my new view. So I want to make 2D of this. Same as before. Maintain source layers. Okay. So it's just thinking for a while, and then as you see, we're back to there's our view, our exploded view. Now, what you might want to do is, in order to make the thing read a bit more visible, is you might want to have dashed lines or grey lines on things that are hidden, and also you might want a lighter line weight on our other curves and things in the model. So what I'm going to do is just go back to what we had before, and so set view assembly 2. I'm going to make 2D again, but this time I'm going to select show tangent edges and show hidden lines. And we click OK on that. You'll see what's going to happen is that it will it'll bake out, or it'll find all of the lines from our model, and it will give it to us all on different layers. So what you can do then is you can go through and you can select. So in this instance we don't want every line, but we may want some of these key lines here just to help describe the shape behind, and you can put them on a different line type layer. Charity will show you how to do all of that in Illustrator, but you'll see here how that's starting to give us a better understanding of actually the shapes that are going on in 3D. And these dotted lines here, we can still change those line types if we want to. So if we go down here, it puts all of the Make 2D lines on a Make 2D layer down here. So I'm going down to visible lines, exploded lines here, because I've done maintain source layer. I'm changing that to hidden. So now you can see it's a different line type there. Okay, and once you've done that, you can just export that as we did before, or print that to scale into your document and start line weighting up in Illustrator. Now the next thing, we've done that. You're going to have half an hour now to do an exercise on your own, and what you're going to do is you're going to open the second file, the second workshop file you've been given, and you will be doing exactly the same exercise we just did for the exploded axo, but I want you to do it on the table this time, not the chair. So have a go at that, good luck with that, and we'll be back with session 2 after this.